Listen to me. Everybody wants the fruit, but nobody wants to dig deep and do the root work. You want the success. You want the spotlight. You want the results. But let me ask you this. Have you handled what's underground? Have you fixed what people can't see? See, the roots are the foundation. That's where the struggle happens. That's where the pain is. That's where discipline lies. But if the roots aren't strong, the storm will break you. The pressure will expose you. The success you're praying for, you won't be able to hold it. So today, we're not talking about surface level stuff. We're going deep into the habits, into the mindset, into the pain you've been avoiding. Because that's where the growth starts. At the root. So before you chase the dream, before you post the progress, ask yourself, have I done the rote war K? Let's go. Everyone wants results, but few are willing to do the hidden hard work. Success starts below the surface. In the discipline, consistency, and sacrifice no one sees. Root work is about fixing the foundation. If your mindset, habits, and values aren't solid, the success you build will collapse under pressure. Real growth happens in the dark. Just like roots grow underground, your character and strength are built in silence, not in the spotlight. Avoiding the root issues holds you back. You can't expect to grow if you're not addressing the pain, fear, or laziness keeping you stuck. A strong roots prepare you for storms. When challenges come, and they will, only those who've done root the work will survive and rise. Root work is daily, personal, and non-negotiable. It's not glamorous, but it's necessary. Do it anyway every day. Would you like me to turn these points into a slide deck or visual script? Everyone wants to shine. Everyone wants the rewards, the spotlight, the lifestyle that comes with success. People look at champions, leaders, and high achievers and think, I want that too. They want the applause, the recognition, the big wins. But here's the truth. Nobody wants to talk about all of that comes after something deeper, something harder. The root work, the hidden work, the kind of grind that happens in silence, long before the results ever show. This is the work that happens when no one's watching, when there's no audience, no praise, no social media posts to share. It's waking up early when your body wants to sleep. It's choosing focus over distraction. It's saying no to comfort and yes to discipline. That's the root work. It's not sexy. It's not fun. It doesn't come with instant gratification. But it's the one thing that separates the dreamers from the doers. Most people love the idea of success. They fall in love with the image of what it looks like. But very few fall in love with the process it takes to get there. That's why they quit. That's why they burn out. They weren't prepared to deep. They weren't prepared to dig deep. They wanted the fruit, but they didn't want to plant the seed, water it daily, protect it from storms, and wait for it to grow. They wanted to skip the struggle and jump straight to the reward. But life doesn't work like that. The ones who make it, the ones who last, they do the work in the dark. They show up day after day when it's hard, when it's lonely, when it doesn't make sense. They understand that success is not about flashes of effort or bursts of motivation. It's about consistency in the shadows. It's about putting in reps when no one is clapping for you. It's about fighting battles that nobody will ever know you fought. This is why root work is everything, because the world sees the outcome, but they never see what it took to build the foundation. They see the tree standing tall, but they don't see the roots gripping the soil, holding it steady through storms. That's the part that matters most. That's the part most people skip. And that's why most people don't make it. If you want real success, the kind that lasts, you have to fall in love with the process. You have to become obsessed with the parts that no one sees. Because that's where strength is born. That's where identity is forged. That's where resilience is built. Everyone wants the fruit. But if you're not willing to do the root work, you'll never grow anything that lasts. Success without a strong foundation is temporary. It might look good on the outside. The money, the recognition, the followers, the lifestyle. But if the roots underneath it are weak, it all crumbles the moment pressure hits. Think about a tall building. It might be beautiful from the outside, impressive in design. But if the foundation is cracked or unstable, it's just a matter of time before it collapses. The same applies to your life, your goals, your success. If you're not rooted in something solid, discipline, character, self-awareness, purpose, then everything you build will eventually fall apart. The foundation is what keeps steady when the storms come. And make no mistake, the storms will come. Life isn't going to hand you a dream and let you keep it without testing whether or not you're truly ready. That test happens at the root level. That's where your habits live. That's where your mindset is formed. That's where your beliefs about yourself are either broken or built. If you haven't done the work down there, no amount of talent, luck, or motivation is going to save you when the pressure hits. A lot of people chase external validation. They want things that make them look successful. The car, the clothes, the titles, the attention. But those things don't make you strong. What makes you strong is the work you've done when nobody is watching. It's your ability to say no to things that feel good in the moment but destroy your future. It's your capacity to hold yourself accountable, to face your weaknesses, to own your mistakes, and to keep going anyway. That's foundational. That's root work. Too many people are trying to build skyscrapers on sand. They skip the foundational process because it's slow, it's painful, and it doesn't give them quick results. But there's no shortcut around it. You either deep or you don't last. Period. Every time life shakes you and you feel like quitting, that's a signal. It's not telling you're not good enough. It's not telling you to give up. It's telling you to go deeper. It's exposing the parts of you that still need to be strengthened. The parts you haven't worked on yet. That's what root work is. Fixing the foundation is asking yourself, what inside me needs to be corrected so I don't sabotage my own future? It's not about blaming your past, your environment, or other people. It's about taking responsibility for what's broken and having the courage to rebuild it. It's about looking at your life and saying, if it's not strong underneath, I don't want it yet. I'll wait. I'll work. I'll build properly. The truth is, real success isn't flashy. It's quiet. It's built in the hours when nobody cares and nobody is cheering. It's built in the grind, in the reflection, in the struggle. If you focus on fixing the foundation first, you'll be unshakable. You'll be the kind of person who doesn't just success. You'll be the kind who can keep it, grow it, and use it to help others. But it all starts underground. It all starts with root work. Growth doesn't begin when the spotlight turns on. It begins in the dark. It begins in silence, in isolation, in the parts of life where no one claps for you, no one sees you, and no one's posting about it. That's where real transformation happens. See, the problem is people want the results without going through the uncomfortable places that produce those results. They want to bloom without being buried. But life doesn't work like that. The seed must go into the soil, into darkness, before anything can sprout. It has to be buried, pressed down, hidden from the world. That's not punishment. That's preparation. When you're in the dark, when you're grinding without recognition, when you're fighting battles alone, that's not the end of your story. That's the beginning of your strength. That's the place where resilience is born. It's where you learn who you really are. You find out what you're made of when nobody's watching. When nobody's praising you. And when everything in you wants to quit, but you keep going anyway. That's growth. That's root work. Most people underestimate the power of those hidden seasons. They think because nothing is visible, nothing is happening. But the truth is, the most important changes you'll ever make happen when no one's looking. It's in the quiet hours, the early mornings, the late nights, the personal sacrifices that you don't tell anyone about. That's where confidence is developed. Not fake confidence, real confidence. The kind that doesn't from compliments or applause, but from the work you've done when nobody cared. You have to be willing to stay in the dark long enough to build something solid. You have to endure the silence long enough to create something worth hearing. That's hard. It takes humility. It takes faith. Not in the system, not in other people, but in yourself. The kind of faith that says, even if nobody sees me yet, I'm still becoming something powerful. The kind of patience that says, I don't need to prove anything right now. I just need to grow. When you chase the light too early, when you rush to show the world your progress before you're ready, you cheat the process. And what you build will fall apart the first time it's tested. Why? Because it wasn't rooted. You didn't stay in the dark long enough to grow deep. It's not enough to grow tall. You have to grow deep. That only happens underground, in solitude, in stillness, in struggle. Think about trees. The tallest, strongest trees have roots that stretch wide and deep beneath the surface. Before they ever broke through the soil, they were growing underground, expanding, strengthening. anchoring themselves so that when the storms came, and they always come, they wouldn't fall. You're the same. You want to go higher. Then you have to grow deeper first. It's in the dark where you learn discipline. It's where you fight your inner battles. Doubt, fear, insecurity. And come out stronger on the other side. It's where you become mentally tough, emotionally grounded, spiritually clear. Those aren't things that develop in the spotlight. They develop when you're alone, doing the root work nobody wants to do. So if you're in a season where it feels like nobody sees you, like nothing is happening, like you're buried, don't panic. You're not buried to die. You're planted to grow. Stay there. Keep working. Keep believing. Because when the time is right, you won't just rise. You'll rise unshakable. That's what happens when you embrace the dark. That's what happens when you do the real root work. Avoiding the root issues in your life is like painting over a cracked wall. It might look fine for a while, but eventually the damage underneath will show. Too many people are trying to level up, trying to succeed, trying to live their best life while carrying the same unhealed wounds, the same toxic habits, the same limiting beliefs they've been running from for years. They read the books, watched the motivational videos, and make vision boards. But they never stop to face the real reason they're stuck. Because it's easier to pretend everything is fine than it is to dig deep and deal with what's broken at the core. The truth is, you can't grow if you won't face the parts of yourself that are holding you back. You can't build strength on top of denial. Root work means confronting the uncomfortable. It means looking in the mirror and admitting, this mindset isn't serving me. This behavior is sabotaging my future. That's not weakness. That's maturity. That's the beginning of transformation. But most people would rather numb themselves with distractions than face that truth. They keep chasing surface level fixes, new jobs, new relationships, new environments, hoping those changes will somehow fix what's going on inside. But external change means nothing without internal repair. Avoiding root issues doesn't just stall your growth. It leaks into every area of your life. You think you're just procrastinating, but underneath it might be fear of failure. You think you're just indecisive, but deep down it's a lack of self-worth. You think your relationships keep falling apart because of bad luck, but maybe it's unhealed trauma repeating itself. The patterns will keep showing up until you do the work to break them. That's the reality. And no amount of motivation, hustle, or hype can replace the deep work of healing and self-examination. Doing root work isn't pretty. It's not shareable. You won't get applause for going to therapy, for journaling through your triggers, for cutting off toxic influences. But those quiet, personal choices are the ones that change your life. Because once you stop avoiding and start addressing the real problems, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of your past and start becoming the architect of your future. Facing your root issues also builds authenticity. You stop pretending to be someone you're not. You stop performing for others and start aligning with your truth. That's where confidence comes from. Not from height, but from healing. You walk differently when you're not hiding. You speak different when you're not carrying shame. And people feel that. People are drawn to that kind of energy because it's real. But to get there, you have to stop running. And here's the thing. The longer you avoid the root issues, the more they grow. Just like weeds in a garden, they spread. They choke out your potential. They keep you stuck in cycles of almost success, almost happiness, almost peace. You were never meant to live in almost. But to get to more, you've got to clean up what's underneath. That takes courage. That takes honesty. That takes time. But it's worth it. Every time you choose to sit with discomfort, instead of numbing it, every time you ask yourself hard questions, instead of deflecting them, every time you take responsibility instead of blaming others, you're doing root work. You're breaking generational patterns. You're building a life that isn't just successful on the outside, but solid on the inside. That's where real freedom begins. Not in avoiding the pain, but in facing it, healing it, and growing beyond it. Root work is the process of becoming whole. And wholeness is what leads to unstoppable, lasting growth. Every dream, every goal, every version of success you've ever imagined, it all starts with what lies beneath. It doesn't matter how loud you speak if your words don't come from a place of truth. It doesn't matter how high you climb if you're on a hollow foundation. All of it. Your progress, your peace, your power depends on the root work you're willing to do when nobody's clapping, nobody's calling, and nobody sees the battle but you. This is not about motivation for the sake of feeling hype for a few minutes. This is about awakening a deeper sense of responsibility within yourself. You have to stop outsourcing your discipline to external circumstances. You have to stop expecting growth without discomfort. You have to stop asking for elevation while refusing to let go of the weights that keep pulling you down. The reality is, you will never rise until you release. You will never step into your highest self until you face your lowest truths. And those truths live in your roots. Maybe you've been stuck not because you're not capable, but because you haven't cleaned out the soil yet. You're trying to plant new habits in toxic ground. You're asking for abundance while holding on to scarcity. You're asking for healthy relationships while ignoring your emotional immaturity. You're praying for peace while continuing to live in chaos. That's not alignment. That's conflict. And you can't build anything great in conflict with yourself. You can only grow as high as your roots are deep. So if you want to go higher, you've got to go deeper. That means doing the work in silence. That means choosing discipline when distraction looks more attractive. That means owning your story, every broken piece of it, and deciding that nothing you've been through will be wasted. The pain, the losses, the setbacks, those are your raw materials. Root work is turning all of that into wisdom, into fuel, into the foundation for something unshakable. It's easy to talk about the fruit, about success, love, legacy. But you've got to ask yourself, am I truly doing the root work that fruit depends on? Because root work isn't glamorous. It's crying in silence, showing up tired, staying focused when it feels like no one is watching. It's turning away from shortcuts and facing the long road that builds real character. It's letting go of victimhood and stepping into full accountability. That's where your strength lies. That's where your peace lies. That's where your next level waits. Root work means you stop lying to yourself. You stop pretending you're okay when you're not. You stop covering your flaws with fake confidence and admit what still needs healing. You stop moving fast and start moving intentionally. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel and start asking, what am I really building here? Because when the applause fades, when the hype dies down, when you're left alone with your thoughts, that's when the truth shows up. That's when your roots are tested. And if you've done the work, you won't just survive, you'll thrive. Quietly, consistently, unapologetically. You don't need to explain your grind to anyone. Let the results speak. Let your presence speak. Let your peace speak. But most of all, let your roots speak. Because what you've built underground is what will determine how far you rise. And when that rise comes, when people start to notice, when success starts to show, they'll think it happened overnight. But you'll know. You'll know it was the hours no one saw, the tears no one dried, the choices no one praised. You'll know it was the work. So don't get discouraged if nobody sees you right now. Stay planted. Stay consistent. Stay hungry. Because while others chase quick wins, you're becoming the kind of person who can hold on to greatness without breaking under it. You're becoming strong in silence. You're becoming grounded in truth. You're becoming unstoppable. Not because of what's visible, but because of what's buried deep. And that's what will carry you when life gets heavy. That's what will anchor you when the storms come. That's what will make you unshakable. In the stillness of the night, when the world seems to move at a pace too fast for your heart to keep up, there is a quiet place where your true work begins. In the unseen hours, when nobody is watching, that's where your most profound transformation happens. Nobody sees the roots being dug. Nobody witnesses the growth beneath the surface. But that's exactly what makes it real. Everyone loves the idea of being in the spotlight, of being admired for what they do. But not everyone is willing to endure the struggle in the shadows that makes those moments possible. And let's be real. Not everyone is equipped to handle the pressure of success when it finally comes, because without a solid foundation, without the root work, success can become a weight, a burden you're not yet prepared to carry. But you've been working. You've been building. You've been planting seeds in the silence. Even when no one noticed, even when you felt like no one cared, you kept going. You dug. You cultivated. You watered your growth with patience and persistence. You spent the lonely nights developing your character, refining your focus, and strengthening your heart. That is your superpower. You might have felt overlooked, underestimated, underappreciated. But remember, the most precious gems are often found buried deep beneath the surface. The soil that surrounds them, it's dark, it's tight, it's heavy, but it's also where strength is born. What the world sees when you finally rise, the fruits of your labor, is just a glimpse. They see the success, the glory, the wins. They don't see the moments you chose to rise when your body told you to rest. The moments you chose discipline over distraction. The moments you fought against your own fears to push forward. They don't see the internal battles, the courage it took to keep believing in yourself when nobody else did. They didn't see you choose to keep working even when the results seemed too far off to touch. They didn't see you make decisions that felt small in the moment, but were massive in the long term. The journey of transformation isn't about what's visible. It's about what's invisible. Dream. It's about what you're doing when the world isn't looking. It's about choosing your future over your comfort. It's about embracing discomfort because you know it's the soil that helps you grow. It's about standing firm in your purpose, even when others are questioning yours. And here's the magic. When you've done the deep work, the root work, when your foundation is strong, you become unstoppable. Not because you're immune to challenges or failures, but because you have the strength to face them. You know how to weather the storms. You know how to stand tall because you're grounded. There's a deep wisdom that comes with enduring hardship and not just surviving it, but thriving because of it. The journey you're on, it's not about how fast you go. It's about how deeply you root yourself into the soil of your own truth. It's about staying committed to yourself when everything around you is uncertain. When everyone is racing ahead, you stay in the dirt working on what's important, building strength in the places that others are too impatient to develop. When you come from a place of deep-rooted strength, nothing shakes you. You have a foundation that is built on integrity, authenticity, and persistence. You're not relying on the shallow highs of external validation to keep you going. You keep going. You keep going because you know your worth. You keep going because you understand the power of self-belief. And eventually, that work will be visible to everyone who's been waiting for you to rise. So don't ever underestimate the value of the work you're doing in silence. Every day you show up, every moment you stay disciplined, every time you choose to fight for your dreams rather than give in to fear, you're building something that will last. It may not be glamorous at first. It may feel like you're putting in hours without getting the recognition. But remember, even the tallest trees were once small seeds buried in the dark. They grew slowly, quietly, but with every passing day, their roots dug deeper. And when the time was right, they broke through the surface, tall and strong, unshaken by the winds that would try to knock them down. And when your time comes, when you finally break through the surface, you won't need to explain it. People will see the strength in you. They will feel the grounded confidence in your presence. You'll be the embodiment of everything you've worked for and every sacrifice you've made. You'll be proof that the unseen work is the most powerful work. The truth is, there's nothing more beautiful than a person who knows their worth and doesn't need to prove it. The kind of person who stands tall not because they're seeking attention, but because they've done the inner work. They've made peace with their past. They've cultivated their growth in the soil of their own truth. And when they rise with the power of all that root work behind them. So keep going. Keep digging. Keep working in the shadows. Let the world underestimate you. Let them doubt your process. Because when your roots are deep, when you've planted yourself firmly in your purpose, you won't need to explain your greatness. It will speak for itself. Remember this. You are the work you've done in silence. Everything you've endured, every moment of hardship, every setback, it's all part of the foundation you're building. The fruit will come, but it will be the kind of fruit that's worth every second of the wait. You are becoming exactly who you were meant to be.